What if you built a billion-dollar empire only to realize you've lost touch with the very people who made it possible? Imagine stepping into your own luxury hotel, disguised as an ordinary guest, and overhearing a conversation so raw, so real, that it shatters everything you thought you knew. Welcome to the extraordinary story of Jacob Harrison, a self-made billionaire and the visionary behind the Grand Horizon hotel chain. As an undercover boss, Jacob believed he was simply checking on operations, but what he uncovered was a life-changing truth about struggle, love, and the essence of success. Stay with me until the end, because the twist in this tale will leave you utterly speechless. Let's dive in. As a storyteller with over a decade of crafting narratives that tug at the heartstrings, I've learned that the most powerful stories aren't about grand gestures, they're about the quiet human moments that transform us forever. Whether it's a CEO uncovering hidden truths or a couple fighting to keep hope alive, these tales resonate because they reflect our own battles and dreams. So grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's journey into the opulent world of Grand Horizon, where one chilly December night flipped an undercover boss's world upside down. Before we begin, hit that like button if you're ready for a story that'll warm your soul, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's build this community of story lovers together. Jacob Harrison wasn't your typical billionaire. At 48, he had risen from a teenage bellhop in a rundown motel to the owner of a multi-billion-dollar hotel empire. Renowned for his sharp intellect and compassionate leadership, he never forgot his humble beginnings. Yet managing such a vast business often distanced him from the day-to-day realities of his hotels. That's why Jacob occasionally became an undercover boss, slipping into disguise to experience his properties as guests and employees did. These missions weren't just business, they were deeply personal, a way to stay grounded in a world of extravagance and power. Little did he know, this particular visit to his Chicago Grand Horizon would be unlike any other. On a frosty December evening, Jacob prepared for his latest undercover mission, swapping his tailored suits for a plain sweater, jeans, and a worn baseball cap. He replaced his designer watch with a cheap knockoff. Staring into the mirror, he barely recognized himself. No longer the polished CEO gracing business magazines, but just another face in the crowd. As an undercover boss, he cherished this anonymity. It was his opportunity to witness the unfiltered truth of his empire. His destination, the Grand Horizon Hotel in Chicago, a crown jewel in his chain, celebrated for its stunning chandeliers, marble floors, and impeccable service. Jacob had poured his heart into building this brand, and tonight he wanted to see if it still embodied his original vision. Stepping into the lobby, Jacob felt a wave of pride. The warm glow of the decor, the soft murmur of conversation, the delicate scent of fresh flowers, it was everything he'd envisioned decades ago. But he wasn't here to revel in success. As an undercover boss, his mission was to observe, to blend in, to uncover truths that executive reports couldn't reveal. Checking in under the alias Jake Harris, he was greeted by Emily, a young receptionist whose bright smile and genuine kindness shone through. She had no idea she was speaking to the owner of the hotel, yet her professionalism impressed him. "Welcome to Grand Horizon, Mr. Harris," she said warmly, handing him his keycard. Jacob nodded, mentally noting her excellence. Dedicated staff like Emily were the backbone of his business. After settling into his modest room, Jacob decided to explore. He wandered down to the lobby cafe, a cozy nook with plush armchairs and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Taking a seat at a small table, he blended into the background, just another guest sipping a latte. As an undercover boss, he had mastered the art of listening, eavesdropping on conversations often revealed more than any survey. That's when he overheard two guests behind him, their voices laced with frustration yet tenderness. "I can't believe we spent so much on this place," a young man muttered, his tone heavy with regret. "We've been saving for months just for one night." A woman, likely his partner, responded softly, "I know, but it's our anniversary. You've worked so hard, Alex. We deserve a special moment." Jacob's interest peaked. Their words struck a chord, reminding him of his own early struggles working double shifts as a bellhop to pay rent, dreaming of a better future. As an undercover boss, he'd encountered many stories during his covert visits, but this conversation felt uniquely poignant. It wasn't merely about the cost of a hotel stay. It was about sacrifice, love, and the heavy burden of life's challenges. "It's not about deserving," the man, Alex, continued. "We're barely making ends meet, and I still can't cover Mom's medical bills. Spending on a fancy hotel feels wrong." The woman, Mia, replied gently, "Sometimes we need moments like this to remind us life isn't all struggle. You worked overtime for months for this. Let's enjoy it just for tonight." Their exchange pierced Jacob's heart. He recalled nights when he'd counted pennies to buy groceries for his family, the guilt of spending on anything beyond necessities gnawing at him. As a storyteller, I've always believed the best narratives hinge on such raw, relatable moments. I once wrote a short story about a factory worker saving for a single vacation with his children, only to grapple with a similar moral dilemma, duty versus joy. Like that character, Alex and Mia embodied the universal struggle of balancing survival with living. For Jacob, sitting there as an undercover boss, this wasn't just a conversation. It was a mirror to his past, and a wake-up call about who his hotels truly served, not only the elite, but also everyday dreamers scraping by for a fleeting taste of luxury. The next morning, Jacob spotted Alex and Mia in the dining area, sharing a modest breakfast of toast and coffee at a small table. Alex looked weary, dark circles under his eyes, yet a flicker of gratitude shone as he smiled at Mia. Jacob felt an urge to connect, to understand more. Approaching as Jake, a friendly traveler, he initiated a casual conversation. "Mind if I join you for a minute? I'm just passing through and love meeting new folks," he said with a disarming grin. The couple welcomed him warmly, introducing themselves as Alex and Mia. Over the next hour, they opened up about their lives, completely unaware they were speaking to the man who owned the very hotel they sat in. Alex shared that he was a mechanic working grueling hours at a local garage to fund his mother's cancer treatment. "Every extra shift goes to her bills," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "But it's never enough." Mia, a part-time teacher with a passion for art, added, "We try to keep each other going. This stay at Grand Horizon, it's our one escape, a way to celebrate our love amidst the chaos." Jacob listened intently, his heart heavy with empathy. Their story echoed his own journey decades ago. He had juggled multiple jobs to support his siblings after their father passed away. As an undercover boss, he'd witnessed hardship before, but hearing it firsthand from Alex and Mia made it deeply personal. As a storyteller, I know that building emotional stakes is crucial to keeping an audience hooked. This moment isn't just about Jacob gathering information. It's about him feeling the weight of their reality. I recall crafting a similar scene in a novel where a disguised tycoon befriended a struggling single mom at a diner he owned. The raw honesty of her struggles mirrored Alex and Mia's, reminding me how universal these stories are. We all carry burdens, and sometimes it's the unexpected listener who helps us feel seen. For Jacob, sitting with this couple as an undercover boss, their words weren't just a story, they were a call to action. However, the hotel wasn't all warmth and connection. As Jacob wandered the property later that day, he noticed cracks in the facade. A harried housekeeper snapped at a coworker over a scheduling mix-up, her stress palpable. At the front desk, he overheard a guest complaining about a billing error, met with a curt response from a tired clerk. These weren't isolated incidents. They hinted at deeper issues: overworked staff, strained resources, and a culture drifting from the hospitality he'd envisioned. As an undercover boss, Jacob felt a mix of frustration and guilt. Had his focus on expansion and profits blinded him to the human cost? That evening, he returned to the cafe, seeking quiet reflection. Instead, he witnessed a small but powerful moment. A young busboy, barely out of his teens, dropped a tray of dishes with a loud crash. Embarrassed, he froze as guests stared. Then Emily, the receptionist who'd checked Jacob, rushed over, not to scold, but to help. "Hey, we've all been there," she said with a kind smile, kneeling to pick up the pieces. The busboy's relief was visible, a weight lifted by her compassion. Jacob watched, struck by this act of grace amid the hotel's chaos. It reminded me of a character named Leo from another Undercover Boss story I've told, where small kindnesses became lifelines. Here was proof that humanity still thrived in his hotel, even if it wasn't universal. This scene, in storytelling terms, serves as a pivot point. It contrasts the systemic issues Jacob observed with the individual acts of care that still existed. I've learned over years of writing that layering such moments where light shines through darkness builds tension and hope simultaneously. Jacob, as an undercover boss, now faced a dual challenge: addressing the broader cultural drift while honoring the quiet heroes like Emily. How would he reconcile this? The answer was brewing, inspired by Alex and Mia's story, and it would soon lead to a decision that no one saw coming. By the end of his stay, Jacob knew he couldn't leave without taking action. Before checking out, he made a discreet call to Emily at the front desk. "There's a couple, Alex and Mia, checking out soon. Cover their entire stay and refund their payment. Tell them a kind guest overheard their story and wanted to help. Keep my name out of it," he instructed. Emily, though surprised, agreed with a knowing smile. Later, as Alex and Mia approached the desk, expecting a hefty bill, Emily delivered the news. "Your stay has been complimentary," she said warmly. "A guest who heard about your journey wanted to do something special for you." The couple stood stunned, tears welling in their eyes. "Who did this?" Alex asked, his voice trembling. Emily just shook her head, honoring Jacob's request for anonymity. Watching from a distance, Jacob felt a lump in his throat. Their gratitude, raw and unfiltered, was worth more than any boardroom deal. As an undercover boss, had orchestrated countless surprises, but this felt different, personal, rooted in shared struggle. Yet he knew this was just the beginning. Back in his New York office a week later, Alex and Mia's story lingered in his mind. He realized that while Grand Horizon catered to the wealthy, it could also be a sanctuary for those like them, people saving for a fleeting moment of joy amid hardship. This epiphany sparked a bold idea. Jacob called his executive team for an urgent meeting. "We're launching a program called Horizon Hope," he announced, his voice firm with purpose. "It's a fund to provide complimentary stays for families facing medical or financial crises. I want every Grand Horizon location to offer this, starting next quarter." His team was floored. Some saw it as a PR win, others a financial risk, but Jacob was resolute. "This isn't about profit, it's about purpose. I've been an undercover boss long enough to know we've lost sight of why we started. It's time to give back." To drive the point home, he shared Alex and Mia's story without revealing their names, describing their anniversary struggle and how it mirrored his own past. The room fell silent, moved by his vision. As a storyteller, I've always believed a climax must deliver transformation, not just resolution. Jacob's decision isn't a mere gesture, it's a seismic shift in his company's ethos. I once wrote about a restaurant owner who, after going undercover, started a free meal program for the homeless, inspired by a single customer's plight. Like that character, Jacob's Horizon Hope is a tangible change, making the story resonate with viewers who crave real impact. But to add a twist, let's introduce a personal ripple effect. Months later, Jacob invited Alex and Mia to the Horizon Hope launch event at Grand Horizon's flagship hotel in New York, covering their travel and stay. They had no idea why they'd been chosen as special guests. As Jacob took the stage to unveil the program, he spotted them in the crowd. "This initiative was inspired by a couple I met during an undercover visit," he said, locking eyes with them. "Their story of love and sacrifice showed me what hospitality should mean." Jacob Harrison, the owner of Grand Horizon, and I was honored to be your Jake that day. The audience erupted in applause, but Alex and Mia sat frozen, tears streaming as realization dawned. They stood, joining the ovation, overwhelmed by gratitude. This reveal is the emotional peak, blending surprise with heart. In my storytelling experience, unmasking an undercover boss at a public moment like this amplifies the stakes. It's not just personal, it's a shared victory for everyone, inspired by Horizon Hope. To ground it further, imagine a young staffer at the event, inspired by Jacob's speech, later applying to manage Horizon Hope at her location. Her drive, sparked by that night, shows the program's ripple effect, a detail I've added to make the story's impact feel alive and ongoing. In the year following Horizon Hope's launch, Grand Horizon transformed beyond Jacob's expectations. The program offered over 500 complimentary stays across the chain, helping families like Alex and Mia find respite during crises. Stories poured in a single dad celebrating his daughter's recovery from surgery, a widow honoring her late husband's dream of a luxury getaway. Each tale reinforced Jacob's belief that business could be a force for good. He also tackled the cultural issues he'd observed as an undercover boss, implementing staff wellness programs, fair scheduling, and recognition initiatives. Emily, the kind receptionist, was promoted to a training role, teaching new hires the value of empathy should shown naturally. For Jacob, the change was deeply personal. He began hosting monthly guest story sessions, inviting employees to share feedback and ideas over casual lunches at headquarters. One crisp spring day, sitting in the Chicago Grand Horizon's courtyard, he reflected with Emily. "I thought I knew hospitality," he admitted, "but going undercover showed me I'd forgotten the heart of it." Emily smiled. "We all need reminders, Mr. Harrison. Kindness isn't just service, it's connection." Her words echoed Alex and Mia's impact, a lesson Jacob now carried in every decision. Yet change wasn't without hurdles. Some managers resisted Horizon Hope, citing budget concerns, while others doubted its longevity. Jacob faced pushback with transparency, sharing his undercover experiences in town halls to build trust. "I felt what many of you feel, overlooked, stretched thin," he told staff during one session. "We're rebuilding together." Over time, skeptics saw the program's impact: lower turnover, happier guests, a renewed sense of purpose. Even Alex and Mia, who stayed in touch, volunteered to speak at Horizon Hope events, sharing how one night changed their outlook. As a storyteller, I've learned resolutions must balance hope with realism. Perfection feels hollow, ongoing effort feels true. I recall a story I wrote about a small-town baker who revamped her shop after going undercover as a customer, facing similar resistance. Real change, whether in a bakery or a hotel chain, demands grit, and I've woven that into Jacob's journey to keep viewers invested. Now let's draw broader lessons with a real-world parallel. Consider the story of a company like Tom's Shoes, founded by Blake Mykoski, who, after witnessing poverty firsthand, built a one-for-one model. Every purchase funds a pair of shoes for someone in need. Like Jacob's Horizon Hope, it's business with heart, a concept I've researched in corporate responsibility narratives. Jacob's journey as an undercover boss mirrors this. Success isn't just skyscrapers or profits, it's the lives touched along the way. This parallel adds depth, showing his story isn't isolated, but part of a larger movement toward human-centered business. So what can we learn from Jacob, Alex, and Mia? First, empathy is power. Jacob's undercover mission taught him to see beyond balance sheets to the struggles of guests and staff. A single conversation shifted his empire's purpose. Second, kindness creates waves. One act covering a couple's stay-sparked horizon hope, impacting hundreds. You don't need a billion-dollar company to make a difference. A small gesture in your own world can ripple outward. Finally, stepping into others' shoes reveals truth. As an undercover boss, Jacob learned more in one night than in years of reports. We all have blind spots. Sometimes we need to listen from a new perspective to grow. In my storytelling career, I've found ending with actionable takeaways keeps audiences engaged beyond the video. These lessons aren't just for Jacob, they're for us. I once thanked a struggling cashier with a genuine, "I see how hard you're working," and her smile told me it mattered. Small acts count. So I challenge you this week, notice someone overlooked, a coworker, a stranger, and offer a kind word. You might change their day or even more. Small gestures of kindness like a smile or a helping hand can create a ripple effect far beyond what we imagine. Let's reflect on another example to drive this home. I interviewed a nurse for a community impact piece years ago, a woman named Clara who worked double shifts in a busy hospital. Despite her exhaustion, she made it a point to chat with lonely patients, often just holding their hands during quiet moments. One elderly man, nearing the end of his life, later wrote her a note saying those small conversations gave him peace in his final days. Like Jacob's gesture to Alex and Mia, Clara's kindness rooted in seeing others' humanity created a profound impact. This real-world parallel, drawn from my storytelling archives, reinforces our narrative's core. Connection trumps status every time. It's a reminder that whether you're an undercover boss or a nurse, your actions define your legacy. Jacob's journey also inspired internal change at Grand Horizon. Beyond Horizon Hope, he introduced a staff spotlight initiative, where employees like Emily could nominate peers for exceptional kindness or dedication. Winners received bonuses and public recognition at monthly meetings, fostering a culture where empathy was as valued as efficiency. One early recipient was a quiet porter named Marcus, who'd been with the Chicago location for 15 years. Marcus often stayed late to help guests with heavy luggage or fix small issues in rooms, never seeking praise. When his name was announced at a staff gathering, the applause was deafening. Jacob, watching from the sidelines, felt a swell of pride. Marcus embodied the heart he wanted Grand Horizon to reclaim. But not everything was smooth sailing. Some franchise owners within the chain grumbled about the costs of Horizon Hope, arguing it cut into profits. Jacob faced these concerns head-on during a virtual summit with all location heads. "I've been an undercover boss in my own hotels," he shared, his tone earnest. "I've seen guests who save for years for one night with us, and staff who pour their souls into their work. If we can't support them, what are we building?" His vulnerability, rare for a CEO, shifted perspectives. Over time, even the skeptics began piloting Horizon Hope, especially as guest reviews praised the chain's newfound warmth. This resistance, woven into the narrative, mirrors real-world challenges I've encountered in stories of corporate reform. Change is messy, but persistence, as Jacob showed, can turn doubters into allies. On a personal level, Jacob found himself returning to the Chicago Grand Horizon more often, not as an undercover boss, but as himself, sitting in the lobby cafe to watch life unfold. One evening, months after the launch event, he received a handwritten letter from Mia. "Dear Mr. Harrison," it read, "Alex and I still talk about that night you changed everything for us. We've started a small fund in our community to help others afford special moments, inspired by Horizon Hope. Thank you for seeing us." Reading it, Jacob felt a warmth no business deal could match. Their ripple effect, extending kindness outward, proved his mission had roots beyond hotel walls. As a storyteller, I've learned that resolutions should leave room for growth, not tie every thread into a neat bow. Jacob's story isn't over. It's a new chapter for Grand Horizon and for him. I once crafted a tale about a factory owner who, after an undercover stint, launched a scholarship for workers' kids. The pushback and gradual acceptance he faced paralleled Jacob's arc, reminding me that authentic narratives embrace the ongoing nature of change. I want viewers to feel that Jacob's victory isn't final. It's a foundation for more. So what lessons can we carry from this undercover boss tale? First, empathy is a bridge. Jacob's decision to listen as an ordinary Jake uncovered struggles he'd never have seen from his corner office. We too can step outside our roles, whether boss, parent, or friend, to truly hear others. Second, one act can ignite a movement. Covering Alex and Mia's stay wasn't just a gift. It birthed Horizon Hope, touching hundreds of lives. Your small kindness, say, helping hand, a listening ear, might spark something bigger. Third, purpose outshines profit. Jacob learned that true success isn't in wealth, but in impact. As an undercover boss, he rediscovered why he built Grand Horizon, to create joy, not just revenue. We can all ask ourselves, what's our why behind what we do? In my years of weaving stories, I've seen how ending with universal takeaways keeps audiences reflecting long after the credits roll. These lessons aren't just for billionaires, they're for anyone watching. I recall a moment in my own life when I paid for a stranger's groceries during a tough holiday season. His quiet thank you stayed with me, a reminder that we all have the power to be someone's Jake. So I challenge you, this week, find one person struggling, a neighbor, a co-worker, even a stranger, and offer a gesture of care. Comment below with your story. I'd love to hear how you've been a light for someone. Let's ground this with another example from my storytelling vault. I once met a small-town librarian named Sarah for a piece on unsung heroes. She noticed a shy teen who visited daily but never checked out books, just sat in a corner. Instead of ignoring him, she started casual chats, eventually learning he was homeless and using the library for safety. Sarah quietly arranged meals and connected him with local shelters, changing his trajectory. Like Jacob's act for Alex and Mia, her small step seeing someone invisible made a world of difference. It's proof that we don't need a hotel empire to create hope. We just need open eyes and hearts. As we close, remember that Jacob's journey as an undercover boss mirrors countless untold stories in workplaces and communities everywhere. There's likely an Alex or Mia in your life, saving for a dream, or an Emily quietly holding things together. Maybe you're the Jacob in a position to shift the game, but unsure how to start. Wherever you stand, this story nudges you to look deeper, value the unseen, and act with heart. True luxury isn't in marble floors or chandelier sits in the connections we build, the burdens we lift, one moment at a time. And there you have it, friends, the incredible story of Jacob Harrison, an undercover boss whose undercover night at Grand Horizon reshaped his empire and countless lives through Horizon Hope. If this tale moved you, don't forget to smash that like button and share it with someone who needs a dose of inspiration. Drop a comment below, tell me what hit you hardest, or share a time kindness changed your day. I read every single one and love connecting with this amazing community. If you're new here, hit subscribe for more stories that challenge, uplift, and ignite your spirit. We've got so much more in store. Before I sign off, let's ponder this. In a world chasing bigger and better, maybe the real treasure is in the small, shared moments. Who's the Alex or Mia in your life? And how can you be their Jake? Think on it and let me know in the comments. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Thanks for spending this time with me. If you'd like to support the channel further, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks. Every bit helps me keep crafting these narratives for you. Until next time, keep seeking those quiet heroes around you, the ones who remind us what truly counts. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. One last note. Storytelling is my heartbeat, and your engagement fuels it. If you've got ideas for future tales, Perhaps an underdog's triumph or a hidden hero in your circle. Share them below. This channel is ours to build, and together we can uncover the extraordinary in the everyday. Hit that bell icon to stay in the loop, and let's keep this journey alive. See you soon.